YouTube, what's going on, man? It's your boy Xerxes coming back at you with another one. This one, I'm not sure if this is going to be the final update, but it's going to be one of the last ones for sure. As you can see, probably by the thumbnail, we've gotten some new items since the last video that we posted, and our damage has gone up significantly. So we pretty much almost doubled our damage from the last video. I think the last video we were somewhere around 30 some odd million DPS, and we're at like almost 70 now. So two items that I got for I think 5 divine in total. Oh, by the way, I migrated this character over to Trade League. Was playing in a private league, so basically everything that I found up until a couple days ago was all solo self-found, and then migrated a couple days ago, and just got some two basically fairly cheap for what they give you upgrades. So I got a 90% cost and reservation heat shiver, and I got a yoke of suffering. And those two items right there, pretty much, I switched a couple of other things around as well, but those two were the brunt of it. Spent like, I think maybe 3 divines on this and 3 divines on this. So I think maybe it was like 6 divines between the two, but 6 divines to go from 30 million to 60 million DPS, very worth it, I would say. So I'll just show you an update kind of on what the build plays like. I haven't even really looked too much into this map. The 100% buff expiration is going to be kind of shitty, but shouldn't be too bad. We'll put some shrines on there and some unique stuff, and we'll just kind of run through here. I've only done this, I think, the Citadel map like 1 time before. So I'm going to just see if I can rush to the boss, get some shrines, take the boss down, and then I'll get out of there, and then I'll finish clearing the rest of it afterwards. But you guys should be able to see, hopefully, that the build is capable of doing T17s really without a whole lot of issues. I mean, I definitely might die. This has like some mods that are not ideal for the build, but so far, not too bad. Okay, so let's just keep it moving. The nice thing about this build is that it, like, you know, some of these maps would be so hard, but like there's so many monsters in here that we're hitting them. The frost blades are freezing literally everything, and so like they just don't have a chance to hit you most of the time. You know, you have 89 like percent evasion, so you're gonna dodge most stuff, and then once you get close enough to attack, this shit is just frozen forever. And so, you know, a lot of people complain about the survivability of this build and say like, oh, the EHP is so bad. But, you know, it doesn't take into account the fact that enemies are frozen the majority of the time. So, you know, I think that people see this build on paper and go like, oh, Frostblades is weak, it's bait, you know. Okay, right there, for example. I didn't have a chance to freeze them, so I did die. It was perfect timing, you know what I mean? But like, how often does that happen? Really not that much, you know. There's a T17 map, like you're going to take some L's in T17s, you know, but for the amount of money that I've spent on this build, the fact that I can pretty much just like cruise through T17s and not really give a shit about too much, I don't know that there's many other builds that can do that and have 60 million damage too. You know, like there's a ton of builds that, you know, have 300,000, you know, EHP or something like that, but you know, do 1 million DPS. And it's like, for me, I'd much rather, you know, die every once in a while and have 60 mil DPS than, you know, never die, but be swinging a wet noodle around all the time. You know, that's just not my cup of tea. So, let's see. I think this is where the boss fight is. So we're going to go over here, drop a portal just in case we randomly get one shot on the way over there. Make sure we get some charges. Okay, we didn't really get any great shrines, so it shouldn't be like we're cheesing the boss too bad, but we should be able to do some damage here. Dodge time, huh? Oh, this is where he brings his homie out, right? Yeah, that's right. Ooh, shit. Okay, that dude's gone. Dodge, dodge, dodge. Die. Okay, last phase. Oh, that was just me playing bad. That was not the build being bad. That was me not dodging when I thought I did. This sucks. Now we got to get all our charges back. You know, maybe we'll just cruise through here and get some charges before we go back in there. That should be good. We only got one power charge, but it's all right. Did it. So, I mean, took a couple of deaths right there, but, you know, I literally just turned my computer on. I'm not, you know, haven't been playing for a while, so give me a break on some of those dodges and shit, but shows you what the build can do. Anyway, let's go back to the hideout. I'll show you a couple of little changes that I made, you know, and then, like always, I'll include the PLB down below. I just so you guys are aware, it's 62.1 million DPS, right? And, you know, that's granted, like on bosses like that one right there, we were probably not doing 61 million because, like, she wrecks your totems like the second that you put them down. So you got to be really careful and like put them down in a good spot. And so 62 million is when like the stars align. With some bosses, you can get away with putting your totems down a little bit further away from them, and you're going to have good uptime on that. But like with that one right there, I mean, we're probably doing something like 40 million DPS, right? Consistently. But that's still more than enough to get through T17. So really the only changes that we made, we got, like I said, we got this cost and reservation multiplier, heat shiver, and then we got a yoke that we, you know, just anointed with Panopticon. Other than that, the gear is pretty much the same. I did use some Eldritch currency here to get life on my gloves. I missed the Eldritch Annul, and I had T1 added cold to attacks there, and I missed it and accidentally annulled it. So basically just slammed on 2 prefixes and got life and lightning damage. So it's not perfect, but it's pretty good for what I need it for. Belt's still the same. Everything else pretty much still the same. I got some catalysts on my taming, and then I changed the craft on my shield from flat cold and lightning because I needed the flat lightning in order to shock since I didn't have taming. But I got the flat cold and lightning off of there, and then did 8% cold as extra chaos, which was actually more damage, right? And then everything else is the same. The reason why these 2 items gave me so much damage is not necessarily the items like the heat shiver itself, right? Because like this cost and reservation multiplier doesn't do anything directly for damage, but what it does is it allows you to drop all of these points right here, right? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 points that you have to spend in order to make the mana work, but with the cost and reservation multiplier heat shiver, you can drop those 4 points, right? So what we did was we got rid of those points and we put 3 of them into another cluster, right? So now we have 2 clusters with ancestral guidance, and then we were able to move some other points around and get this extra jewel socket as well. So we got this one, which is pretty sick. It's got mana on hit, which we don't really necessarily need. We have enough mana as it is, but attack speed and crit. So this is a pretty solid jewel. So between all of those things, getting the yoke, being able to move some points around, and getting a couple extra jewel sockets, the damage pretty much went from 30-something million to 62 million. So that right there is what I have done so far. A couple other people have asked, you know, like what would be, you know, best in slot stuff. And so, I mean, really, my gear isn't that far off. I mean, obviously, you would want a T1% increased fizz roll there, and then you would use tempering orbs to get increased effective physical modifiers, and that would be pretty much the best claw that you could possibly have. Like just mine with just T1 fizz and then tempering orb, that would be fine. Here, ideally, you would want a double corrupted one with the cost and reservation multiplier and probably +1 power charges, I'm guessing would be the next best one there. A yoke, you can get like hatred buff effect, I think, which would be the best corruption that you could get on there. And then you could like, I don't know, catalyze this with like resistance if you need some resistance or something like that. The GG body armor, basically, you could go a couple of different ways with this. There is a new haunted one that is reduced damage from crits, so that could be worth it in the long run. But for just like your standard Zodiac leather, you would want T1 flat evasion, T1% increased evasion. You're going to want Chaos Res, another Res probably, and then Spell Suppress. And then for your sixth one, you would craft on Fizz taken as Fire and Cold or whatever the Gravicious mod is. And I think that would, so you obviously want to have like probably near 3,000 evasion with T1 Chaos, T1 Cold, T1 Fire, whatever the case may be for your resistances. And then suppress at least 19%. Craft that other one on there, and that's GG. Obviously, you can get Awakened Multi-Strike, which is a huge amount of damage. I just don't have, I don't know how much it is, honestly, but I'm not really bothered to buy that right now. And then like a 2120 Nightblade and Awakened Cold damage level 5 or 6, corrupting these, that would give you more damage as well. Double damage while focused would probably be something that you could get on here to give you more damage, and it might be worth looking at double damage while focused on the claw too, but I'm not sure how, if there's diminishing returns between having more than one of those mods, because you're going to have double damage while focused on, or double damage on your lethal pride as well. So not really sure, but that's something that you could look into as well if you wanted to go like really hard. And then the gloves, I mean, if you wanted to, you could go like crazy and get projectiles pierce 2 additional targets, but that's going to cost you a shit ton of money, and it's really only going to help with your map clear, not your single target at all. And obviously on the ring and stuff, you would want all T1s of all this stuff, right? So the dexterity you could get rid of and have like a different suffix there, maybe like strength and intelligence or something for your stats. This all depends kind of on what kind of cluster jewel you get, but this is actually pretty good. You would just want all T1 of everything on here pretty much. And the boots, ideally you would not need that strength and intelligence, high life, high evasion, and then probably just triple suffix or triple resistances would be good. And then for your flask, you just want T1 of everything on here. So, chance to gain with increased evasion, chance to gain on crit with increased crit, chance to gain on crit, increased attack speed. And then for this one, the last flask is kind of up to you. I don't have, block. I'm not immune to stuns, so I just got increased stun and block recovery. Reduced effect of shock would probably be better, honestly. That would probably be like the good suffix that you could get there. And then a lethal pride, I think you want a 10755. I'm pretty sure that's the number that's like the best lethal pride in the game, so that one gives you a shit ton of damage. And then a Watcher's Eye, you would want ideally chance to evade while affected by grace, and then probably double hatred, right? So like you're definitely going to want the hatred base crit one, and then either cold pin or flat cold. That would be like your GG like three mod Watcher's Eye. So those are probably extremely expensive, but that would be like if you're going to spend a couple mirrors on the build or whatever, that would be what you'd be looking for. And then for this cluster jewel, really you want the 3% increased attack speed. I think the added damage goes up to like 4 or 5 increased damage, so you would want that obviously to be tier 1. And then for the third one, as I've said in some of my other videos, this is going to be dependent on your build, but most of the time you're either going to want to have T1 Chaos Res, T1 All Attributes, or T1 All Resistance as that other modifier. And that pretty much, I think, like if you can afford to do all of those things, you probably have 150, 200 mil DPS Frostblades at that point. So for any of you tryhard Andys out there, if that's what you want to do, that's pretty much the template that I would use to go and upgrade my gear. Probably not going to do it, but that at least now you have an idea of, some upgrades that you can make. And the last thing that I will say is if you want to go real hard, I would recommend looking at a guy on YouTube. His name is Spraz. It's SPRAAHZ. And then he'll have a video from last league going over, it's like a 12 link claw with the Squire, basically. So that's like he had 400 million Frostblades DPS last league with that, and that's crazy. That thing I know nothing about. I watched him and helped him craft it like a tiny little bit, But that is ultimately like the GG way to go about playing Frostblades if you want to do it. At least it was last league with what do you call those things that we had? Geez, I can't even remember. Like the Wildwood Ascendancy points and stuff and charms. Yeah, sorry, I can't remember. But yeah, with charms and stuff, that was the way to do it. I'm not sure if it would be the same this league, but that's also something that you could look into. So with that, I've just been rambling on for 20 minutes about random shit, but hopefully that gives you guys an idea of some stuff that you could do if you want to take this build to the next level. I will leave the video there. If you're new here, drop a like, drop a sub, all that good jazz, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.